Hanny Time. A daily look at sports from our resident historian. Your sports break during your lunch break. Now, here's Charles Sandegriff.
And we welcome you into another edition of Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Glad to have you with us. Mario Jerez, Taylor Sharp running the board here with us today. Thank you for being with us. Scott Rabelais in about 15 minutes. His thoughts on LSU and Florida State, but also on LSU and Southern. Glenn Guilbeau will be with us at the bottom of the hour. He has written a book about Skip Bertman called Everything Matters, and we'll Everything Matters in Baseball, actually. We'll talk with him about that book, and we got some stuff from Brian Kelly to get us started here, so let's not delay any. The biggest question marks coming into the game with Florida State for LSU revolved around the offensive line. Don't know that we got a lot of answers, or at least not a lot of satisfactory answers in game one. So that question has lingered here into the days following the game. Today, Brian Kelly was asked if we could see some changes along that offensive line.
I think everything is up for evaluation. It's, certainly early in the season, and we're still, trying to put what we consider the best combinations out there. And so I wouldn't say that, we're at a point where we feel like, all 22 positions are, etched in stone, and there are still competitive battles for positions. And in particular, I think the offensive line is one where we're going to continue to evaluate as we go from week to week.
And I suspect that is going to continue for the whole season. You say, well, yeah, you're always evaluating guys. Yeah, but what you'd really like to do is get your offensive line in place and just rep the hell out of them together, where the five guys, operate as one unit. That's optimum. And that's not really available to them right here. So they're going to have to continue to evaluate it. I'll reiterate something we talked about during camp, which was they changed their starting lineup halfway through the camp. And so while Will Campbell stayed at left tackle and Garrett Dellinger stayed at center, what they repped, at least what we saw, what they repped through the first half of camp, roughly half of camp, had Tremont Shorts at left guard, Miles Frazier at right tackle, and Anthony Bradford at right guard, Frazier at right guard, and Anthony Bradford at right tackle. When they changed that, they changed the side on Frazier from right to left. They changed Bradford from tackle to guard, and they brought Cam Wire in at the right tackle. That group probably got somewhere around 8 to 10, maybe 12 practices together. And that's not a lot for an offensive line, especially when Campbell was playing in high school last year. Frazier was playing. You've heard all of that, okay? So changes along the offensive line. And Emory Jones is frankly a guy that I'm watching because you notice they got him. He was one of the guys that went in on extra point protection. It was not his man that came across, but they feel good enough about him to be on special teams. He's a kid that I thought when I saw him in August, hey, he's probably not going to be ready for the opener, but somewhere down the line, you'll have to take a long look. I still think that about him. And there's others that you could see. Shorts, for instance, went into the game and played a little bit at the right guard, okay? I'm not giving up on that kid either. He was a very highly recruited guy. He's an experienced guy. He's an older kid. So I'm not giving up on possibly seeing him a little bit more as well. But they're trying to develop awareness on that offensive line, recognizing things. One of the things that gave them fits was the bear front. And I said this yesterday after Kelly talked, that I was surprised that they weren't more prepared for helping along this offensive line, helping with protections, helping with awareness. Even as things are helping, like with the running backs and the tight ends, and I realize they're not terribly experienced at those positions either, but I thought that they would be in a position to give a little bit more help if they saw some things that maybe they hadn't seen on film. And Florida State did, to their credit, show some things that they really hadn't shown, certainly not in the first game against Duquesne, and really not a whole lot last year either. So Kelly talked about developing some of that awareness.
Awareness is just, understanding if you're uncovered, where do you need to help? And that comes with just, knowing your teammates and where they need help on a particular protection. And that really comes with just time and being with each other and communicating. So when the communication gets better, the knowledge gets better, talking about it, I think you get a heightened awareness and an O-line awareness that's kind of just innate. You can't fake it, right? It's just got to be kind of a natural feeling.
It's not natural right now. And that's one of their biggest problems for all of the reasons that we just talked about. It's got to become natural. It's going to take time. Nobody's patient. Bummer, but that's how that goes. All right, the other thing we talked about an awful lot in the last couple of days is the tempo. And LSU running some tempo that Kelly was pleased with because it no doubt helped them move the ball in the second half.
There's no doubt that tempo helped us. I think that we began to kind of exert ourselves a little bit and wore down Florida State late. I just think we have to start faster. I think and it's a combination of finishing off drives, playing with tempo, and just executing at a higher level. I think if we do that, we're going to be in pretty good shape.
I'm still flabbergasted. I don't want to repeat myself from yesterday, but I'm still flabbergasted that you can start flat in an opener with a new coach in a building, in an atmosphere like that, with an opponent like that, when you're coming off two seasons the way that you were. And I know that a lot of these players weren't on those two teams, but the idea that they could come out flat just blows my mind. You come out flat against New Mexico in week 3, okay, fine. You come out flat against UAB in November when you've been playing SEC teams for 2 months, and you got to stick this game in there so everybody can cash a check, and you come out flat. Especially if that game is at any time other than you play that UAB game at 11:30 in the morning, God forbid, and you want to see flat. I'll show you flat. Okay. I mean, the orange juice and the vodka is flat, okay, at 11 o'clock in the morning in November when you're playing UAB. You're flat for the Florida State game in the Superdome to open the season. I still can't get that past that. But as far as the tempo goes, here's the good and the bad with the tempo. The good is obviously the quarterback is more comfortable with that, and the offense flows a little bit better. And, of course, you can pinpoint defensive personnel when you go with the tempo. Problem LSU is going to have with running tempo is the defense is going to get worn down if the tempo is almost exclusively passing game based. And right now, LSU doesn't have much of a running game outside of the quarterback. So if you run tempo and you run, say, 2/3 to 3/4 of that tempo in the passing game, you're just naturally going to have some incompletions. You're going to have some clock stoppages, and you're going to compromise your defense. So I got no problem with them running the tempo. It's actually a necessity at this point that they run the tempo. But they got to find some running game to go with it outside of the quarterback. And again, it goes back to the offensive line. You're going to be able to run the football when you've got numbers in the box. You don't have elite speed in that backfield. You don't have a moose back there. You've got complementary backs. So the tempo is fine. They got to find a run game to go with the tempo. One of the things we talked about on the podcast this morning with Gordy, when we did film study, that's the Hanny cast on 1045ESPN.com. You can download it right now. Was going no huddle, but not necessarily going as fast as you can. Able to pinpoint defensive personnel without going so fast that you put your defense in a bad spot. So the tempo is going to be something that they have to balance. Okay, time to get to the punt returner question. Are they going to replace Malik Neighbors?
I think we all know what we want to see, and that's, obviously fielding the ball cleanly. We thought we saw that, but, we've added some additional drills where, we have some distractions in front of the punter, obviously forcing him to get his eyes trained properly. So, Malik's going to stay back there and work some. We're not going to fire him from his duties. He's got to continue to work there, and we've added, obviously, Sage Ryan's been back there. He'll continue to work back there, and we've got a couple of young players that are going to get some work as well, and see where that takes us through the week.
I think this is the right move. If you're going to get his confidence back, if you're not going to just give up on the idea of Malik Neighbors as a punt returner, you get him right back out there. You get him back out there in this game that LSU is not going to lose. So you give him an opportunity. If he looks comfortable back there, then you give him another, give him another week, and hopefully he he morphs into that guy that you saw at practice. I saw it. I mean, I've seen it. If I thought he wasn't capable of being an excellent punt returner, I'd say just go ahead and make the move now. Put somebody back there that can fair catch and catch the ball, and that's it. But it's a confidence level, right? We used to be exasperated with Les Miles because he wouldn't put young players back on kick and punt returns. I mean, it took too long to get Trendon Holiday back there. It took too long for Patrick Peterson to get back there. It took too long for Tyrann Mathieu to get back there. And by the time all of them became kick returners, they were all massive assets to LSU. But Miles was careful about how fast he put them out there. That was frustrating to us. You watch Trendon Holiday run this, 10 flat, 100 meters or whatever. He ran 100 meters. Like, put that guy back there. He's like, where are you going to fumble the ball? Well, in this case, they're not afraid to put Malik Neighbors back there for the first time in his second year. And, he had ball security issues. You put him back out there in this game. If he fumbles another one, then okay? It's not going to – it may have – it went part of the way towards costing you a game last week. It wasn't the only reason. There was a lot of things there. But, Florida State didn't get any points out of those fumbles. They just got field position out of them. This week, it's not likely to cost you the game, even if he coughs one up inside his own 10-yard line. So you go and you see, and if it works, you keep repping him. Otherwise, you gotta just go to somebody that's going to deal with ball security. Derek Stingley dealt with this too. If you remember the first half dozen games of Stingley's career, he was a pretty effective punt returner. Even in the Texas game. The first game against Georgia Southern, and it was like LSU had been struggling back there, and then Stingley went back there, and it's like, wow, it's great. And then the Auburn game came around, and he misfielded one, fumbled. Auburn got the ball, and that ended up being the closest game of the year. Like that. And I never thought Stingley was the same back there. He never looked confident after that. It was fair catch after fair catch after that. It is a matter of confidence. So if you're going to get Malik Neighbors' confidence back, this is the week to do it. Finally, Joe Fouché is facing a suspension, and Kelly talked about that.
Joe has been amazing. It really has to do with some technical issues relative to, credit hours and transfer credit hours. And so it's really difficult for me to get into the specifics of it, but it's really unfortunate. Joe's done everything we've asked him to do, but sometimes in the transfer process, credit hours are earned and lost. And, he was put into a very, difficult situation relative to gaining hours. So, yeah, we're in that process. Certainly, Joe's been great in everything that we've asked him to do, and we're hoping to get him back as soon as we can.
You know what I'm tired hearing? I'm tired hearing that the kids are doing everything they're supposed to be doing, and they're still ineligible. I'm really tired of hearing that. Okay, so TJ, whose fault is this? Vinny? No, whose fault is this? You got two seniors, okay, on this team that are ineligible because of academic issues. I haven't done the research, but I would imagine of the rest of the Southeastern Conference, there are 0 other players that are having academic issues as seniors. Transfer this, NCAA that. I'm tired of hearing it, okay? I'm tired of the massive amount of suspensions in the last few years that happen nowhere else. I'm tired of hearing everybody did what they were supposed to do. No, apparently somebody didn't. I don't know if it's the player. I don't know if it's the coach. I don't know if it's the academic advisor. I don't know if it's the teacher. I don't know. I don't even care. I just need this to stop. I'd like for you to have all of your eligible players, because if you haven't noticed, you need them all. I'm not even blaming Brian Kelly. I don't know whose fault this is. I just know it doesn't happen other places. And I know that if freshman comes in, ditches class, flunks a test, doesn't turn in an assignment on time, whatever, okay? I get it. It happens from time to time. Freshman gets, caught up in it, ditches a study hall, whatever. It's because of seniors. Can there be this many paperwork snafus? Really? Been in school for 4 years. And you still can't get them on the field. I don't understand. Explain this to me like I'm 5 years old, because I don't get it. Doesn't happen anywhere else. How many seniors does Alabama have out this week because of academic problems? None. I can say without even looking, none. I mean, it's A&M, Florida, Georgia. Pick a school. None. Why does this happen here? Why is this continuing to happen here? I'd like that question answered. And they're not going to be able to answer it because there's all kind of, there's the Buckley Amendment. I get it. I understand the rules. But, hey, stop. Please. Get everybody out there. Take a break. Scott Rabelais, when we come back, we are brought to you in part by Big Mike's out in Denham Springs. Everybody loves Big Mike's, family-owned and operated, kid-friendly. You can bring the kids in after high school football. They stay open late. It's a Denham Springs tradition out there. Even the Denham Springs Athletic Hall of Fame is located at Big Mike's. Luncheon menu and luncheon specials all of your weekdays, and live music. Floyd Brown in the Big Bar this Friday night from starting at 8:30. The LSU game Saturday, and the DJ afterwards, so you can go watch the game with your friends there. And happy hour all day on Sunday. Happy hour prices all day on Sunday when the Saints play the Falcons. So get out there, get your NFL. Hey, your fantasy team going to make their debut this week. Going to have a championship season. Go watch it at Big Mike's. Happy hour prices all day on Sunday. Big Mike's in Denham Springs. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big V and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
There's nothing better than tailgating, but it can be a lot of work. So why do it yourself when you don't have to? Let Revelry Sports and Entertainment set up your luxury tailgate on campus. Order what you want and just show up to party. Book your tailgate today at Revelry Team. Hill 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time, your sports break during your lunch break with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Join us now from the Advocate, Scott Rabelais, covering LSU football. Rab, good afternoon. How are you?
Charles, I'm doing well. Good to be with you.
How'd you find Brian Kelly over the last 2 days? The results weren't what they expected or wanted. He's had to answer a lot of questions. Not the happiest time there. You've seen LSU coaches have to deal with difficult losses before. How does this one rate?
Well, this was way up there in terms of the frustration level. But I found Brian Kelly has maintained, as they said in one of my favorite movies, The Right Stuff. He's maintaining an even strain, and I think that's born from the fact that he knows this is a long-term process. That he didn't expect his team to come out and look like a top 10 team the first week against Florida State, and they certainly didn't. But I think he kind of realizes. Obviously, he realized going in the difficulties they face and the challenges they have, the shortcomings they have on this roster, and it's going to take time to work through it. And I'm sure he was disappointed with the execution, as I'm sure every LSU fan was. But I don't think it caught him totally by surprise, is the impression I get.
What do you think is fixable, and what is problems are fixable, and what problems are more likely to linger?
Yeah, I think we tend to look at teams like at the start of a season, like this is how they are, and this is how they're always going to be, and that's not necessarily the case. I think with experience, the offensive line can improve. I certainly think a guy like Keyshawn Butte should be expected to catch more balls than he did Sunday night, and with those drops, and he might have as many drops in that game as he has all season long. I definitely think especially when Joe Fosha, and I totally agree with you about the academic thing, by the way. It's ridiculous, and it doesn't happen everywhere else. When they get players like Joe Fosha back, I think the chemistry will improve in the secondary. I think that was one of the concerns I had going in, that you have a lot of talented and experienced guys, but they haven't played together. And I think that showed against Florida State, especially in a lot of those third down situations. So I think that will improve. And I am concerned about Blake Neighbors just getting in your head. I think so much of special teams kicking game for kickers and returners is a mental thing. And if he has, I think he's got one more drop in him, Charlie. And like I said, if it happens against Southern, you might win 53-20 instead of 53-13 because they punch in a touchdown. But I think he's got one more chance, and then they're gonna have to go to somebody like Sage Ryan or somebody else.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're going to try some different guys out there. But I think his options were pretty limited given the practice time that they had allocated in August to the punt returners. It was Neighbors or somebody who was going to have to basically come in cold, and I think he was more comfortable there. I understand that, and I think you're probably right. He's got one left in him. Give me your thoughts on Jaden Daniels and the game that he played.
I don't, people were. I heard, I didn't really see it on social media, that people were, a lot of people were getting on the quarterback for the loss. I don't think you could pin too much of the loss on him. Was he perfect? No, he had some wild throws. Did he take off too soon out of the pocket at times instead of trying to find check down and then find another receiver? Yes, he definitely did. But overall, I thought he gave them the best chance to win. I mean, there are times when they had to put virtually the entire offense on his shoulders for a lot of the game, and he did it. And executing that drive, like Florida State playing really soft prevent defense on that 99-yard drive and all that stuff. And it's like the typical thing that everybody complains about with defense in those situations. But you still have to make the plays, you still have to make the throws and make the runs, and especially that fourth down. The last second touchdown pass to Jeray Jenkins that put them in position to tie the game. So I thought he was pretty good overall. Now I do expect to see Garrett Nussmeier some against Southern. And going forward, and I'm still a little concerned for Jaden's stature. I think he's a little thin to put up with the pounding of a whole season in the SEC. But for the opener, give a solid B+ for sure.
Scott, you and I both spent a lot of time at different points in our career covering Southern athletics, and this game is historic. There's no other way to put it. First of all, do you ever think you would see this game in football? They played obviously in the other sports, and what this game, give you this far-reaching question: what it means to Southern University, what it means to the city of Baton Rouge, what it means to LSU. Just kind of give me your thoughts on this game that is finally being played.
No, I never thought I'd see it. Going back to my days in the early '90s, covering Southern athletics. I mean, obviously they played a lot in baseball, they played in basketball and other sports, but not in football. And I think it's going to be happening. I hope the weather's good. I hope it's a full house. Hopefully a lot of LSU. I think a lot of Southern fans will come. I hope some LSU fans aren't discouraged from coming by the fact that they lost the opener to Florida State. I think, Charles, I've often said Baton Rouge, in a lot of ways, to me, and I've grown up here and lived here all my life, it's a tale of two cities. They're two intertwined communities, and I'm talking about the predominantly white community and the predominantly African American community in Baton Rouge, but they don't always see eye to eye, and I think sometimes it's just from lack of familiarity. And I think this is an opportunity. I hope that this is a good experience for everyone. That that there's going to be some Southern fans who have never set foot in Tiger Stadium and maybe never been on the LSU campus, and they're going to come and hopefully they will have a good experience and enjoy a Saturday night in Tiger Stadium, which is one of the great sporting experiences in college football. And there's certainly going to be some LSU fans who've never seen Southern's band in person and all the pageantry that comes with a Southern football game, and they come away totally enchanted by that. So I think my hope is, and I hope this final score doesn't get in the way, because I certainly do expect, despite the loss and Southern's big win over Florida Memorial, that LSU will win convincingly. And I don't think they're going to try to rub it in, but I think they'll win by a big score. And I hope that doesn't leave a bad taste in anyone's mouth, because this is certainly one situation where it's much bigger than the final score. It's a very important game for LSU to try to build some confidence. But it's also a very important game in the off-the-field sense. And I'm glad it's finally being played. They need to play Grambling next year, which they will. And then, we probably won't see these games again. And that's okay. But I'm glad it's finally happening. And I hope it's the best experience that is possible for everyone concerned.
I'm not going to be hypocritical. I try not to be hypocritical here by saying, I'm, all in favor of this game, because I'm not in favor of FCS and FBS schools playing. It's almost never good football. It is a check cashing game. It is in most of these cases, it's a glorified scrimmage. And in some cases you can get, a pile of injuries that can really affect you going down the line if you're the FCS school. That being said, if they're going to play, then play the schools that you are in state with. I like the idea that LSU and Southern have scheduled a whole week's worth of events on the academic calendar, on the social calendar, they're talking about some economic development issues that they can work together on. I think all of that's great. Like everybody else, I'm looking forward to the two bands, because I think that's going to be really something to see. But I'm not going to tell you that I think that the football is a good idea, because I don't. And I would say that if LSU were playing any FCS school, it's just not. Sure. It's not fair, okay? It's just as simple as it's not fair, okay? I mean, LSU's got this budget and Southern's got this budget. It's simply not a fair fight. But I do think a lot of good can come from this week, and a lot of good can come from this game. And I hope that it's a great day on Saturday from all of those aspects.
Fingers crossed. And look, I think it's very likely a one-off for a lot of reasons, including the fact that with the expansion of the college football playoff in the coming years to 12, I think that almost, if there was any question, it's almost certainly going to lock up the fact that the SEC teams are going to start playing 9-game schedule against each other concurrent with that. And that's going to mean there's less room for FCS games on your schedule. So you're probably going to still have one quality Power 5 opponent and, just a couple of these games instead of 3 or 4. So I think all that leads to the fact that this is one unique. This is going to be a very unique event Saturday night.
Brad, we appreciate it. We'll see you at the game and talk to you soon.
Thanks, Charlie.
This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We're brought to you by Acura of Baton Rouge. You're bringing the Integra back, the 2023 Integra, coming with the all-new MDX S-Types and the Type S Advance. Turbocharged V6, massaging seats in the Advance, new color combinations, and all new body styles starting in 2022 with the MDX, the 2021 TLX, the TLX Type S, and the RDX refreshed last year. 2023, it's the Integra, newest, latest, greatest technology and styling at Acura of Baton Rouge. With transparency pricing, you see a price on the website, that's what you're going to get. They treat you like family, family owned and operated. Don't forget about the pre-owned, the certified pre-owned system, where you're going to get complimentary cars when they come in for service and 168-point inspection. It's all at Acura of Baton Rouge.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Light beer shouldn't taste like water. Miller Lite has more taste.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR presented by Pluckers. Former Saint Lance Moore will join us, and Russ Mitchell stops by. Can't wait for that. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time. Grab some lunch and tune in on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Anytime with you till 1 o'clock. We'll hand it off to Hunt Hill. Joining us now is Glenn Guilbeau, who has written a book called Everything Matters in Baseball, The Skip Bertman Story. Glenn, good to have you on the program. How you doing?
Thanks, Charles. Great to have you back on the radio regularly, buddy.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, when you write a book about Skip Bertman, the obvious question that everybody wants me to ask Glenn Guilbeau every time I see him is, why do you hate LSU football?
I don't hate LSU football.
Come on now, Glenn. you knew you were going to get a little bit of that, right? At the beginning. No, seriously, let's talk about the book.
I don't hate LSU football, but it's a bad time right now.
It's not the most pleasant week. I'll give you that. All right, to tackle a subject like covering Skip Bertman's life, there's a whole lot of material here. And a lot of it, has been done. There have been documentaries, there have been books, there have been a lot of stuff. So when you tackle a project like this with all this material and, all this stuff having already been done, how did you approach it?
Well, I needed more time because I got in on it late. Leo Honeycutt had done a book and Skip changed his mind about it. And I didn't start writing until 2019. And there was more I wanted to get into, but my approach was the 5 national championships, how we went from Miami to LSU, and his years as athletic director. I thought was very important because that hadn't been written about much, whereas the early years hadn't been. And Skip's, if you remember, Bruce Hunter did a book on Skip right after the '91 title, so I didn't cover a lot of the early LSU baseball too much. So that was the main thing, and really, the what Skip wanted me to do was tell stories and anecdotes from him and the players to make it entertaining, as opposed to they won this game and they won this game. So a lot of the MO was from Skip himself.
And I do remember Bruce. Obviously, the first person I was ever on with in Baton Rouge radio. I owe a lot of my career to the break that he gave me, right at 30 years ago. So, yeah, I do remember that. When you went into the athletic director portion of this, what did you learn that you didn't know?
Well, just how active he was behind the scenes and publicly, because I covered him when he was athletic director, but I didn't know quite how much he was kind of leading and coaching everyone. And he really approached the athletic director job as a coach, and the coaches respected him, even Saban, and really looked up to him. So that's one thing I learned. And Skip just knows how to predict the future. I used to just think he could predict games while he's coaching a baseball game, but he can also predict the future. Like he told Saban what was going to happen in Miami, and that's exactly what happened.
I had the opportunity maybe half a dozen times over the time I was calling LSU baseball after he had retired, that we just ended up with a one-man booth because the schedule was jammed, and they would come over and say, would you like Skip to sit in for 3 innings? And I'd always tell them, no, I'd like Skip to sit in for 9 innings, but whatever I can get. And sitting next to him for a baseball game is really unlike any other experience I've ever had watching baseball games, and I've watched plenty. So I understand what you're coming up with there. So tell me some of the people that you talked to. Who were some of the most interesting people that you talked to researching the book, and some of the stories that they came up with? Who were some of the best?
Well, Chris Mook was a great interview. We went for about 2 hours one afternoon during the height of COVID. We didn't have anything else to do. And he was always one of my favorite players. And I've forgotten that he was the holder on the famous extra point to win the earthquake game.
Mm-hmm.
If he drops the ball, they don't win that game. They like this game Saturday. And that was interesting. And he was on the first national championship team, and he made the last out. He caught that grounder at third. And I asked him if he was nervous, and that's when he said, well, no, because I held the ball for the earthquake game. So that was pretty cool. Brandon Larson was a great interview. And I didn't cover him. I was in Mobile at that time. So he was great to talk to. Chad Auger sat with him at Sammy's one afternoon for a long time. And Chad was a guy who loved to sit next to Skip when he wasn't pitching, just to learn from him, like you just mentioned. Doug Thompson was a great interview. Coogan, McCabe, Brett McCabe, Rich Cordani was great. Keith Osick, it was fun talking to those guys, and they loved to talk, not because they like me, because they like Skip, and they wanted it done right. And a lot of those guys, Charles, had already done lengthy interviews for Leo's book, so they just did it again, and I just really thankful to those guys.
One of the things that has always just blown my mind about Skip is his psychological approach to, well, pretty much everything. Not anybody, but there's a lot of guys out there who can coach baseball, who can teach pitching, teach hitting, can put in a first and third play. But the psychological aspect of baseball is so overwhelming to most. Why, from your talking to Skip, how did he approach the psychological effects of the game, and why was he so successful?
Well, I just think he was always the smartest guy in the room. Skip probably could have been a doctor or anything he wanted to do in life, but he really loved baseball, and he just approached it with more of a cerebral outlook than I think most coaches did, and particularly from his era, because at that time you had equipment managers and assistant football coaches were handling the baseball team, and in some cases, and he just took it more serious, and he was just the entire package, because he's a marketing genius. He knows how to motivate. He's also a taskmaster, particularly younger when he was in his early days at LSU, and he's just got a great eye for business, and he's a speaker. He knows how to have fun, but he also just loves to call pitches and sit in the dugout and watch the game, and he's usually 3 innings ahead. I just think he had more of a brainiac approach to it.
And what is so remarkable about the man is you have brainiacs, okay? We've got them, that do the analytics all day long, okay? They do nothing but crunch numbers. But if you ask those people to get into marketing, to get into sales, okay, they're not very good at it. You ask the salespeople, the people that are good marketing, they're really, really creative people, to get into analytics. They're not good at it. You almost never do you find somebody that's good at both. And he wasn't good at both. He was great at both. To me, that's another one of the things that makes Skip so remarkable.
And he was doing analytics before that was really a term. He was doing it on scratch paper and in his mind, just remembering. He didn't have the computer situation. So just think if he'd have kept coaching, I think he'd have still been good, because he'd have been on top of the analytics. But you're right. I remember a couple of players told me, like, they would often start practice without Skip there. Smoke ran practice a lot, and Skip would show up later, like in a coat and tie, because he had just spoken somewhere or had just been trying to get investors to help build the new stadium or improve the stadium, and he'd take his coat off, roll up his sleeves, and go over, how to slide into base. And, he was just so fundamentally sound. There's a quote from Mike Bianco in there where he said he thought he knew baseball from his dad when he got in junior college, when he got to LSU. And he says, like, the first 2 days, he said he didn't know anything about the sport.
Speaking of Smoke, and I'm just going to ask this. I had a good working relationship with him when he was a coach here, but Smoke Laval has kind of become the lost tapes of LSU baseball. I know that they did not part on good terms. I know that, Smoke hasn't been involved in any of the projects that, went to honor Skip, whether it's a documentary or anything else. Did you try to talk to him, or did you actually get to talk to him at any point?
No, I didn't. Because I had a pretty good guess that he wasn't going to, and Skip wasn't really interested in me in going that route. But I'm pretty sure he's mentioned in the book, if I'm not mistaken. But and there's Joey Bell should be in the book too. I didn't get to that. But Smoke went to Omaha twice, and he did a great job for Skip for years. So, he probably should be in the book more.
Well, there's this perception that Smoke was not a good baseball coach. That's not true. I watched every game that he coached. I was on the broadcast team. Smoke Laval knew baseball, backwards and forwards. The rest of the job was not a comfortable fit for him. Like we talked about, the marketing and the things like that. Those were not things. Skip could hold court with the media. He could speak to a room and make you laugh and make you think and do all that stuff. That wasn't Smoke's deal. Smoke was very, very good. Smoke could go to a baseball game and tell you who the top 5 players were on the field in order, and not every scout can do that, not accurately. Smoke could do all that. The things that he struggled with were the glare on the program at the time, and of course, following Skip was going to be tough for anybody. It would have been tough for any coach to step into that thing.
Yeah, you always want to follow the guy who follows the legend, and Maneri was lucky there. But whenever Skip did mention Smoke, he always said he was a good baseball coach, and Smoke was an excellent recruiter. He brought in some great players that were on all those teams up until the last several years of Skip, for sure.
If you're an LSU baseball fan, if you're an LSU fan, period, Everything Matters in Baseball, the Skip Ertman story, now available wherever you buy books. Glenn, I enjoyed it. A lot of that stuff was nice memories for me, and quite frankly, learned quite a few things that there were a lot of stories that I hadn't heard before. So enjoyed the book, recommend it. It's still a ways off from Christmas, but this will be a good one for the LSU fan. Thanks a lot for spending a few minutes with us today, and we'll talk to you soon.
Charles, let me tell you real quick. The book is only for sale right now at acadianhouse.com, but it will be for sale at Richard Lipsey's office Tuesday, September 27th, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., 7277 Exchequer Drive. That's an open house for the book. You can buy it that night in person. Otherwise, you got to go to acadianhouse.com for the time being.
Okay. And so when is it, but it'll be available for the holidays in wide release?
I would think it's going to be in Barnes & Noble soon and on Amazon soon. But right now, acadianhouse.com is the only place.
Okay. Good to know. Glenn, thanks a lot. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, buddy.
This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
We're brought to you by Big Mike's in Denham Springs. Going to be a great weekend there because you can spend time on any day. Friday after the high school games, they're open late. Go in, it's family friendly. Bring the kids. Large restaurant portion of there that's separate from the bar. They're open late after all of the high school football games. You want to go into the big bar? Floyd Brown is playing on Friday night at 8:30. Saturday for LSU and Southern. There'll be a DJ after the game, so the party continues after LSU and Southern finish. And then the Saints kick it off on Sunday against the Falcons. Of course, NFL action all day. Happy hour prices all day in the bar at Big Mike's. And, of course, happy hour Monday through Saturday, 3 until 7, and live music every weekend. At Big Mike's, such an important part of the fabric out in Denham Springs. Big Mike's, this is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This week on DropBiscuit.com or wherever you listen to podcasts is our new series, Pops, the Louis Armstrong story. Pops is brought to you by New Orleans & Company. Check out neworleans.com and come visit New Orleans.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance.
This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Time presented by Bet Rivers. Wednesday, we're live from City Slice Pints and Pizza on Chime Street, just outside the north gates of LSU. Game time, 6 to 8 p.m., presented by Bet Rivers on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Congratulations to Cardero Cloy of Baton Rouge. Cardero is our Week 1 winner in the 2022 Twin Peaks College Football Pick'em Contest. He wins a $50 Twin Peaks gift card. Don't forget to make your picks for Week 2 by 5 p.m. on Thursday. Play the 2022 Twin Peaks College Football Pick'em today at 1045ESPN.com.
This is Hanny Time, your sports break during your lunch break with Charles Hannegriff on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Time for a few questions in the YouTube chat, if you can get them in. Nikki wants to know if we've has the fan base overreacted enough. Are you disappointed in us? No, it's about what I expected. I thought it was about normal, about what I expected. And I'm a little bit late to the party on where the chat went today. Was kind of doing some other things during the break, but one of the questions came up: Did you see Wilt Chamberlain score 100? Some of the listeners were asking each other. If you weren't in Hershey, Pennsylvania, to see Wilt Chamberlain score 100, you didn't see it. Most likely, you didn't see it. There's no surviving video of that game. You know, one of the more iconic individual performances in the history of team sports. There is no video of it. You ever watch these treasure hunter things? I like Pawn Stars. I understand the whole show's scripted, but I do like seeing the unique items come in because there's a lot of sports stuff in there, and they're always looking for, this is the Holy Grail. You know, we've never seen this, we've never seen that. If I could have one piece of sports memorabilia, I'm going to call this memorabilia. If I could get my hands on one thing, it would be just going through somewhere and they come up with the video of the game that Wilt scored 100. Because I would love to see it. And I understand that Chamberlain was physically the most dominant player of his era, he and Bill Russell. And that Chamberlain was absolutely unguardable in a lot of cases if it was anybody but Russell. But I got to see a guy score 100 points in a game. I got to actually see that. So, that and I would like, there was one other piece I would like to say. I've never seen any video of, not video, but just even little grainy footage or whatever was available at the time of the World Series in 19 when the Black Sox threw it. Because I would like to, and as long as we're, indulging the fantasy here. I'd like to actually go back and watch it and see if I could tell. Go back and look at it and see, hey, this guy's dogging it here. Because in baseball, I think it's very tough. The guy strikes out. Well, guys strike out all the time. Guy made an error. Well, guys make errors all the time. Did he throw it away because he was trying to throw it away, or did he throw it away because, guys throw balls away in baseball? It happens. So that'd be the two things that I've never seen. Not even the only shot you ever see at Chamberlain's 100-point game is him holding the sign up in the locker room. There's not even still photos of it, and very little from that Chicago White Sox team. You see a few still photos and stuff like that, but that's pretty much it. All right. Tomorrow we're going to do some Saints stuff with our guys down at Boot Crew Media. Gus Rosalvo will be with us, and we'll do a little bit more on LSU and Southern. Reggie Flood will be with us from the Jaguar Journal, talk about what this game means for Southern. So we'll do those things tomorrow, and then Friday we'll be at Rufino's for Football Friday. For Mario and Taylor, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt and Hill. This has been Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.